It's V103, the ATL's #1 for hip hop, R&B, and throwbacks. I'm Danie B, here with some very, very, very special guests. They're here to talk about the season 2 of their show that you can check out on Roku. It's called Honest Renovations. We have Jessica Alba here and Lizzie Mathis. How are y'all?
We are great.
We're good. So I checked out the show and I'm like, okay, this is like your typical like home renovation show where you're helping out these families. The first question that I had was, where do you find these families?
Yeah, we do a big casting process, and it's interesting. It's kind of an art because we want to find families that are relatable. Mm-hmm. Diversity is really important to us. We wanted to not only have, the obvious ethnic diversity, but also just diversity in the types of families that we are showing. So we have a single mom with a baby. We have a family with 7 kids, 3 are out of the house. We have another family that has 4 kids. And so just showing different ages and stages of families going through different things. We have a family dealing with illness, another family dealing with loss, another one that has a child that has different needs. And so for us, it's diversity in every aspect of what that looks like.
But we really strive, Danie, to not be typical. That's funny. So when you say like a typical home renovation show, it's like we thought about it. And when we think of typical, when we think of it, we thought about cookie cutter home renovation shows. You see the before, you see the after, you see a couple things in between. For us, the heart of our show is the families. Yeah. So we want to be like different. We thought about how do we make a show that still gives the love of interior design and the love of, like you said, a home renovation show, but flip it on its head and make it more relatable, where people can really have takeaways that feel a little bit more special, you know what I mean, than just the house.
Right. So here's a question, because the families, I watched some of the episodes, and the families that you guys are helping, they're, like you said, they're ordinary families. How do y'all pay for this? How do y'all get them the stuff with the new refrigerator and the new couches? How does that happen?
We have a lot of amazing partners and sponsors to bring it to life.
But we do only have one budget. We have one master budget to work with.
And we have to split it up
between all the houses.
All 6.
It all kind of depends on what house needs what we're able to do in every house, but we can't do the everything in every house.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where it gets selective.
2 to 3 rooms per house, and then different levels of renovation.
Got you.
If you have to do a ton of like plumbing and moving walls and things, then you can't do that with every house, right? You have to pick and choose.
Got you. So when it comes to the families, I feel like the stories are so beautiful. I saw the show where you had the family that had, 4 kids under the age of 6. How did you guys start doing this? Because home renovation and acting and modeling, it's so different. So how did you even start? How did this idea even formulate? Like, where did this come from?
Well, Jess and I have been friends for a long time, and one thing that we always said when we first met was that we wanted to do something together. We didn't know what it was going to be, but we wanted to do something together because we always have fun together. And we were like, we have to do something where we could have a job and have fun, because that's the ultimate goal, right? And then during the pandemic, we leaned in. We leaned into home design and content, and we created like a little like studio, which was one of her first houses. We redid that. We redid her parents' home. So we kind of went in and started.
We renovated a couple of spaces.
Yeah, and we enjoyed the process.
Yeah, and we put it on YouTube. Actually, we're dropping my parents' renovation now, next week.
Soon. Next week. Tomorrow.
We're being told.
It's coming.
Yeah. We're going to drop it on our socials, on YouTube.
But it took us 2 years to do. That's a long time.
That one was intense.
In a renovation
because it was
process.
like taking the house down to the studs, which is different than what we do with these families. With these families, we're choosing different spaces and we're doing different levels of remodeling, renovation, updating the space.
So to answer your question, when we started doing that, we thought, how do we make this into a show? And how do we include families?
Got you. What's the hardest thing about doing the show? What would you say is the most challenging
I think
aspect
we always want to do more than we can because of budget and time.
That's what I was going to say too.
It's not just budget; it is also time. I mean,
what's the time limit?
We moved them out of their house for 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so they gotta all be back in because we do all the reveals right around the same time, and so there's like a time we got to move them out and bring them back in, and so
they don't want to be out of their house forever, you know, nor do we want. And I think in season 2, we understood that efficiency is super important on a show like this, and so all the lessons we learned from season 1, we were able to bring into season 2.
So that, I think that's like a really good aspect to kind of point out, is that these homes, it's 2 months, because on the show it looks like this. It's like, oh, they came back yesterday and everything was all put together and they knocked out the wall the day before. So it's a whole 2-month process.
It takes time, and we're doing all the homes at one time.
That's literally what I was going to ask.
So we are figuring out, before we walk into every house, we have a download. We're like, okay, this house we're doing kitchen, living room, bathroom.
Yeah, we gotta map it out.
And remember, because all at one time, you know, you're just, everything is happening. You don't want to mix anything up.
Absolutely. What is, I guess, what family, I guess, sticks out to you the most? Because I've already seen, I want to say, like 4 episodes.
Oh, and you went in.
No, because like you know, like when you start watching and then you're like, and then the way that y'all do the show, it's so tricky the way that y'all do. The first episode I got so mad because I got to the end and I was like, what? They're not gonna show us how we do the house? Like, they're not gonna show us the reaction? Like, I want to see what they did. And then you go to the next episode and I was like, oh, I'm like, this is sneaky the way they edited.
Then you're now into the next episode. We wanted it to really be a binge-worthy show.
Yeah.
We wanted you to sit down and be able to go run all the way through it, you know, because we wanted you to feel good, and then we want you to kind of cry, and then we want you to have some takeaways, and we want you to feel inspired. And that's the type of show. We just want to make feel-good content. So the fact that you've already watched 4, we have done our job. We have done our job.
Yeah, it's like, it's definitely binge-worthy, especially, like I said, the way you guys edit it, because it ends and it's like, well, what happened? And then you go to the next episode and that's where you get your payoff. So I was like, oh, okay, I see how, because I was literally about to be mad. I was like, I know this show does not end like this. I know it doesn't. I know they're not going to show us the house. I know that's not happening. So, but question, have y'all ever had a family that didn't like what you guys, because I know that viral clip, I don't know if you guys have seen that viral clip that went viral. I think it was from the show Clean House years and years ago, where the lady was like, no. She was like, I don't like this. I don't like this. I did not ask for that. Have y'all had anything like that where the family was like,
We usually have pretty positive reactions because we spend so much time with them and trying to
get it right.
Yeah, I did notice that. Y'all take really good notes.
Yeah, we actually ask them, what colors do you like? What don't you like? How do the colors that you don't like make you feel? And how do the ones that you do like make you feel? And so we consider all those things. What aesthetic do you like? Right. Some of them are like, I really like modern farmhouse, and others are like, I hate modern farmhouse. I really like, traditional kind of Spanish, style, or coastal, or modern. And so depending on their aesthetic, every house is really tailored to the family.
Right.
And I think that's another difference in our show. A lot of the renovation shows, it kind of has the same I would say vibe
and feel.
And it's usually the interior designer's preference. But for us, because we're not professional interior designers, we don't feel like we need to brand an aesthetic. We just want to meet the families where they are and give them what they love the most. Also, we think it would be nuts if 3 rooms look totally different to the rest of the house. And so we try to
the same at every house. Like, it's not, it's not a cookie cutter step and repeat, right? But I will say, in full transparency, I do get very nervous before reveal day.
Yeah, you never know. I mean,
I get very nervous. Palms sweaty, heart beating.
Yeah, we're like, we hope they like it, because that is
it's like your biggest fear.
It is
for
our
them
biggest
to walk
fear.
in and be like,
especially because we spend so much time on it.
And then it's their home.
Yes, and we make sometimes bold choices. Like, when you watch the reveals, like sometimes we pick a floor that is a bold choice, or a wall color that is a bold choice.
If we knock something down and we switch stuff up,
open things up.
Are they gonna like this
new layout? So there's bold moves that is happening in the show. So I get very nervous. I'm always like, okay, just say a little prayer. Hopefully we did good, and we've had some good payoffs.
Yeah,
I'll say
thank
that.
Goodness.
That's dope. So one of the things that stood out to me, because I'm not a first time homeowner, but this is my first time in a home that's not like an apartment or like a townhouse. So literally just moved in May, and there are some like little things around the house. So what are like some, I guess maybe your top 3 just DIY things that you can do to make your home feel a little bit more like home, as opposed to this fortress that we're in with like all this space? Like what are some things that you can suggest for people in that space?
Indoor plants. And it's major. It's such an upgrade to a space. It also cleans the air naturally.
Wow.
And there's something that it does for your nervous system, and it actually brings you peace. So indoor plants are
if you can
pretty
keep them alive.
I was about to say, what if
alive?
you
Look, 'cause I saw that.
No, but
I'm
there's
never home.
What if you are plant challenged?
No, I am too. There's a place actually called The Sill. It's online. It's female founded. And you can order plants that are like pretty foolproof.
Right, like low maintenance plants.
Really low maintenance. Like
They'll
a
also
snake.
tell you.
A
They'll say
snake
this
plant
one is
is
low maintenance, this
amazing.
one isn't.
Like you
I have
can't
one of
really
those,
mess
but
up a
it's-
snake plant.
You know what you can
kinda
also
droopy.
do though? If you are allowed to paint in your space,
Yeah.
I think painting is a game changer.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Huge game
because
changer.
it just allows you to personalize the space, especially what you're talking about when it's not necessarily like you don't own it.
Yeah, it's a
but you still
rental.
want to make it yours. You still want to feel good when you walk into it. Personalize it as much as you can. One of those ways is painting.
Yep.
Adding pictures and art to the wall. You walk into a space that you feel like is your art and your vibe and your pictures, you're always like, oh yeah, that makes me feel real good. You know what I mean? Like it gives you
Exactly,
instant,
yeah.
like this is my home, because it's you. It's a part of you.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And I
just
would say
personalize
stay
it.
away from big, bulky, dark furniture. If you can have lighter woods, it feels more airy, it feels more breezy, and I do recommend having places where you can put things away, not having everything out that you have.
Organize.
You know,
Yeah.
organizing, putting things away, having a place for everything. Yeah.
That was a theme I saw in the show. Like, okay, we have some storage for you. This was
That's right.
storage back here for you,
You know why?
guys.
Because when you talk about parents, there is never enough storage. Period.
Bruh.
Dot dash. Like
Bruh.
kids and people.
I have a 14-year-old, and it's like, where is all this stuff coming
Yeah.
from?
It's wild.
And then they don't want to get rid of the stuff.
None
No.
of it. They're so
They
attached
have a
to
hard
it.
They're
time.
attached to
Yeah.
stuff.
I know.
Like, I'm like, what is this? It's like this eraser thing. And I'm like, he's like, well, I want to keep it because in 3rd grade. I'm like, you've had this eraser thing since 3rd grade. Get rid of it.
That's right.
I know.
That's right. But that's why it's good to start young. Use like that one thing that Jess and I always mention with like little toddlers or young kids is teach them to put things away, teach them to organize, teach them to declutter now. So when they get to 14, it doesn't feel as much of a like a big deal. They're used to doing it. They've been doing it for
Right.
so long. They're like, okay, you know what? I'm done with. I've outgrown this. So now I can give this away, or now I can get rid of this. And if it's something that they really love, then you put it in a storage and call it a
Right.
day.
I got you. Well, tell
And
us.
give it to them when they go to college. This is you. This is you.
is your
Take
stuff.
that with you. This is
Oh
what
my
you want
gosh.
to keep.
It's so funny you said that because my mom, I've lived away for the past 10 years. I'm originally from Atlanta. I've lived away. My mom
She dropped all
literally
your
gave
stuff.
me a box of stuff. And she's like, this is all your stuff. I'm like, yo, but my room is still here. You just leave it in there. She was like, no, this is, she gave me like, I have like barrels
That's
of like
right.
stuffed animals,
That's
like
right.
memory books. I'm like, yeah, like,
That's right.
What
My
am I
mom
gonna
did- my mom did the
what am I
same
going to do
thing.
with this? She's like, you have a house now. It's
That's
not my
right.
problem.
Boxes showed up on my doorstep one day, and I said, "Excuse me." She said, "There you go, baby girl. This is what you wanted to
That's
keep. There you go."
crazy.
That's right.
Why?
I
That's
just
right.
emptied all of our storage, and literally my husband had like 6 bins filled with random trophies.
Wow.
Like from all this like papers, his school papers.
That's
from
memorabilia.
primary school,
Oh my
middle school. I
gosh.
was like, you are a hoarder. He calls me a hoarder. I'm like, why are you keeping all this stuff? It is nuts. Yeah.
Well, tell us when we can watch the show, how we can watch the show, etc.
All right, so you can watch it on any Roku device, or you can watch it on the RokuChannel.com. But just go to Roku, find a Roku. You can watch it right now.
Any future projects that we can look forward to, since you guys have dabbled in other things? Any future projects together that we can look forward to from you guys?
Look, stay tuned.
Yeah,
Stay
I have,
tuned.
Oh, she got a little twinkle right there. Something going on with Lizzie. She got a little twinkle.
I have a movie on Netflix that you can watch. It's an action movie, maybe. I think it'll be appropriate for your son. You can watch it with your son for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Trigger Warning.
Wow. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah. All
So
right.
it was the first movie I produced. This is the first show I produced. That was the first movie I produced.
Oh wow, how's that been
Or
for
this
you?
is my second show, but this is my first unscripted show I produced.
How's that been for you, kind of getting into your production bag?
It's awesome. I think
Wow.
after I founded a company, it was weird to be on a set and not be a boss.
You're like, I'm used to telling people what to do. Now tell me what to do.
This doesn't feel right.
Right.
Also
And
having
so-
like editing control and you know
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
you show up. You know,
Yeah.
when we produced this show, we were able to literally like have a say in every piece of it, and
Yeah.
I think that's a big deal.
It is
I
a big
love
deal.
that.
And it is hard to not do that.
I love that. I love that. And I love that people are going to be able to see you on movies and stuff again because I went to the new Deadpool movie and I thought I was like, I wonder if.
Okay.
Because we saw one character from Fantastic Four, the new
I can
Deadpool
edit
movie,
that.
and I
I
was
can
like, I wonder if this is
when we air it on
something
air.
they're trying to do. They're trying to bring some things back. I
Right.
don't know. So
Right.
that's cool that people
So
are going to
when
be
does
able
the
to
show
see
air?
in this space and in another
So
space.
when does the
kind of
show air
marrying
again?
all of like your brands together, both of you. So this is awesome.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Again, Lizzie Mathis, Jessica Alba, Honest Renovations. Definitely make sure you check it out.